Hello, and welcome back to more Wizards Animals drama. Am I still doing this? Sadly, yeah. I meant to make a sequel shortly after the first video on the matter, however I have been busy with life, as well as acquiring a new PSC build, so it came later than I would have liked. Regardless, I'm here once again to provide evidence against Wizard, his mod, and his harassment. If you don't know who Wizard is, I recommend watching the first video I've made about this subject, as it covers a lot of things that I will not be going over in this video. For anyone who hasn't got time to watch it, or simply needs a refresher, Wizard is a Minecraft modder in big, bold, flashing quotes. He is renowned around the modding community for being a massive asshole and model thief. His mod, Wizard's Animals, is chock full of stolen assets and heavily referenced models. Not only is his mod full of stolen shit, the creator himself is also a massive asshole who makes false threats to sue people who speak up against his actions, as well as extremely misogynistic and homophobic. Before I get into the meat of this, thank you everyone who watched and shared the original video. It means a lot, and it's really nice that we're getting the word out there about Wizard's actions. If you're someone new to this and want to support me and the original creators of the stolen assets, please check out their original mods in the description, and consider sharing this video or leaving a comment to help it get into the algorithm. Now to get into the stolen models. So in the previous video, a few people were understandably confused with a few of the model comparisons. To clear these up, I'll be opening up Minecraft with Wizard's Animals installed, alongside all of the other mods that he has shamelessly ripped from. To clarify, I have the Wizard's Animals mod jar from a couple of years ago, when I had no idea he was a model thief. Don't download his mod because it will only inflate his ego further and make him feel like he is won by me giving promotion to his mod. Whatever you do, don't support his shitty practices. I'm going to be going over each model relatively quickly due to the sheer amount he's stolen, so if you need to, feel free to pause the video to get a closer look at the comparison shots. Wizard's stolen copies will be on the left side of the screen, and the original models from their respective mods will be on the right. So first up is the giraffes. Wizard has stolen this Zawa reticulated giraffe with minimal tweaks. The only edit I'm aware of is the texture, placement of the ears, and the removal of the bottom of the jaw. Next is the kangaroos. These are under a bit of controversy right now actually, as the kangaroos are the models that Wizard specifically hooked onto to try and villainize me. As you can see, Wizard's kangaroos are extremely similar, with the only differences being the posture of the animal and placement of the lower jaw. Do keep in mind that Wizard will constantly rave about how he's changed his mod's kangaroo to look different, well, which is great, but unfortunately his new model is still, sadly, much too close to Zawa's remodeled kangaroo, especially with the concave body and the shape of the hind legs. Wizard, just do us all a favour and either remove your mod's kangaroo or just entirely remodel it so it looks different. It really isn't difficult and it would save you a lot of trouble. Next is the orca, which is a tweaked version of the Zawa classic orca. Only differences here are the face being much less rounded and the dorsal fin being two different pieces. Next is the seahorse, which in my last video I compared to the Tropicraft seahorse. Turns out I was wrong about that, so the Zawa Discord and I traced it back to being extremely similar to the aquatic abyss/abyssal depth seahorse. Only differences here are the curl of the tail, the location of the middle back fin, and the presence of some mane-like pieces along its head and back. In the same vein of the abyssal depth seahorse, we have the swordfish, which is, again, identical. I can't see any changes here. Next is the hawksbill/green sea turtle, which he's edited the length of the front flippers and shape of the face. Other than that, it's basically a one-to-one copy of the old Zawa hawksbill sea turtle. Next is the starfish, which is an identical one-to-one copy of the Fantastic Fish mod starfish, with no visible edits. Shame on you, Wizard, you didn't even try and edit the length of any pieces this time. At least put in some effort. Next is the Galapagos tortoise, which is an edited version of the Zawa classic Galapagos tortoise, even down to the mouth being slightly open. The shell is also slightly shorter, with the same pieces outlining it at the bottom, but apart from that, everything else is the same. Next is the chimpanzee. This one is a bit harder to notice as you can see the differences between the textures. However, once you get past that, it's much easier to tell that Wizard has copied it. The only thing that's different here is the diagonal slope present on the top of the original Zawa Classic version's chimp. This one is easy to tell once you look at the shape of the hands and the feet, especially the bottom pieces where the hands of both curl inwards and the feet of both curl outwards. Next are the capuchins, which are identical to Zawa classics, and even the textures are extremely similar, especially in the face. The limbs on Wizard's stolen versions are thinner, and the pose is adjusted, but they are the same in the end. Next is the gorilla, which is slightly harder to see here because Tabula doesn't have built-in shading. However, the key points here are Wizard's copy having extremely similar, if not identical, limbs to the Zawa classic gorilla. Wizard's gorilla also has a brow piece, lower lip piece that is slightly inwards, and the same ears and snout. The head shape is notably different, however that's only due to him scaling the head cube upwards. Next is the lobster, which is a copy of the Fantastic Fish Mods lobster. I did get a comment on my previous video on this subject stating that they were too different to be copied, so I'll go more in depth here. First off, the body shape is basically identical, with the same amount of cubes for the body and slightly more complex amount for the tail. The legs are identical, and the claws are slightly edited to be more vanilla style. The most different things here are the claws and the antennae, however here you can see the same joints for the claws. Wizard is known to make tiny tweaks to his stolen models, so it's not too far-fetched to say that he's edited the antennae and ends of the claws for his own mod. Next up is the squirrel, which is a ripoff of the Little Critters mod's True Squirrel. These are almost identical, with slightly edited body lengths, a slightly fatter tail with one less piece, and different foot shapes. Wizard even tried to emulate the Zawa style eyes here, which confirms that they were at least very heavily referenced. Next is the crabs, which are directly ripped from the Quark mod's crabs, with slightly edited claws. These are also pretty self-explanatory, with completely different eyes, legs, body, and arm joints. The only thing different here is the claws, which have two pieces to separate each segment instead of one whole piece. Next is the rats, which are a copy of the Zawa brown rats. These are pretty much identical, apart from the slightly smaller snout and re-angled ears. Next is the iguanas, another copy of a Zawa animal, this time for the marine iguanas. The most notable similarities here are the head and snout shape, legs in general, and tail. The whole animal is slightly shorter with a thinner tail, however it's much too similar to deny. Especially the flap at the base of the head going down to the neck. It's almost identical apart from the positioning. Next is the sharks, which are practically identical to the Zawa sharks, just slightly thinner. Maybe Wizard is starving his animals. Anyways, these sharks are so copied it is even funny. The biggest giveaways here are the bottom and top fins, which are absolutely direct copies. The body is identical, alongside the tail, just ever so slightly skinnier. And, once again, the Zawa eyes, he's purposefully trying to be a ripoff here. Next is the hummingbird. Someone else was the one to point this out to me, so thank you. Wizard's hummingbird is a copy of the Exotic Birds mod's hummingbird, with slightly more detailed wing textures. Next is Wizard's dwarf rabbit, which is a direct rip of the Twilight Forest's forest bunny. I don't even think I need to explain myself here. Next is the pygmy hippopotamus, which is a copy of the Zawa classic pygmy hippo. Here the only differences are an extremely slight leg rotation, and the snout being shrunk and attached to a bottom jaw piece. Lastly of the straight up stolen models is the lion tamarin, which again is a ripoff of the Zawa classic lion tamarin. Similar to the capuchin from before, this is a direct copy from the Zawa classic model with a slightly different tail and no ears. Before I continue with more of the stolen assets, I want to explain what heavy referencing is. So for those who aren't artists or are unfamiliar with the art community, referencing is quite the controversial topic. According to the Oxford Dictionary, referencing is to mention or to refer to something, most commonly used for books, journals, and articles. However, it can also be applied to other mediums, and is a common term in the artistic community. Referencing an artwork, in this case 3D models, is something that is generally frowned upon. It's usually agreed upon that reference something is no bueno unless you give credit to it. Think of it this way, you're writing an essay and your instructor/teacher/whatever tells you to reference outside sources to back up the claims in your writing. When referencing these outside sources, you absolutely must cite them, or credit them, otherwise you'll be failed or heavily marked down for plagiarism. This is the grave mistake Wizard has done here. Wizard makes absolutely no mention of any of the original creators of these models, and repetitively insists that he is in the right, and that he has created every single model himself. Not only that, but he has not received permission to reference any of these models or rip them from their original sources at all. He is straight up plagiarizing the intellectual property of these mod creators. But yeah, I know what you're thinking. It's bad that he's stolen and heavily referenced so many models, but is this actually a serious thing? Could this be a crime? And are these models actually protected under any form of copyright law? And that's where I come in, because if you watched my previous video, you would know Wizard has a reputation for threatening to sue folks over the pettiest of circumstances. The link he provided so graciously when he threatened to sue my ass before was a link to a Norwegian law site about false accusations. However, he skipped over the fact that he himself is Brazilian and I am Australian. Not only would it be basically impossible for him to sue an Australian due to the multitude of circumstances such as contacting every mod creator, asset creator, and me myself, finding what countries they're from, and dragging them to a courtroom, it would be a ridiculously expensive process, and there is no way any of the governments of these countries would give a shit about drama about a Minecraft mod. But because Wizard is so horny for making legal threats, I thought I would be the nosy little shit I am and dig through Brazilian copyright law documents myself. Yep, I spent my time fucking reading a 25-page Brazilian copyright document. No, I am not okay. So, doing a bit of research, I discovered that the basic law on copyright in Brazil is Law number 9.610 of February 19th, 1998 on copyright and neighbouring rights. The contents of this law are available on WipoLex, which is an online database of international treaties and national legislations in the field of intellectual property. Here you will find, under Title II, which describes intellectual works, artistic works such as drawings, illustrations, paintings, engravings, sculptures, lithographs, and works of kinetic art, are protected under Brazilian copyright law. Under Chapter 2, Authorship of Intellectual Works, Heading 11 states that the author of a literary, artistic, or scientific work is the natural person who created it, which refers to the original creators of the models that belong to their respective original mods. Under Title 3, which describes authors' rights, it is stated that the moral and economic rights of the original work shall belong to the author who created it. This means Wizard would have no legal ownership over the models that he stole, as the rights of the models belong to their original creators. Chapter 2 of Title 3 states, under headings 1 and 4 respectively, that the original authors or creators of a work are allowed to claim ownership of the work at any time and ensure the integrity of the work by objecting to any modification or any act liable in any way to have an adverse effect on the work. This means, under Brazilian copyright law, the original owners of these models are legally allowed to pursue legal action against Wizard for violating intellectual copyright law. Title 7, which describes sanctions for copyright infringement, heading 102, states any owner of rights whose work is fraudulently reproduced, disclosed, or used in any other way that may apply for the seizure of the copies or originals made for the stoppage of the disclosure, without prejudice to whatever indemnification may be applicable, which means the original creators of these models are legally allowed to enforce legal action against Wizard and force him to remove the models. Headings 105 and 106 state the transmission and retransmission by any means or process and the communication to the public of literary, artistic, and scientific works, performances, and phonograms carried out in violation of the rights of the owners shall be immediately discontinued and erupted by the competent judicial authority, without prejudice to a daily coercive fine for non-observance and such other indemnities may be applicable, and without regard to the applicable criminal sanctions. This basically means that the model creators can, legally under Brazilian copyright law, demand the immediate discontinuation of the stolen assets and subsequent removal. The sentence may include the obligation to destroy all unlawful copies used to commit the infringement. This means that if legal action was pursued, Wizard would be legally obliged to destroy/erase all of the work he has stolen from other mod/model creators. Alongside this, heading 108 states, any person who, in the use of an intellectual work by any means fails to mention or announce the name, pseudonym, or conventional mark of the author and performer, apart from having to answer for the moral prejudice, shall be bound to disclose their identity, meaning that Wizard is legally obligated to, at the very, very least, provide credit for the original creators of the models that he's stolen from, as well as list the names/usernames of all of the original creators of the models he's stolen. I've provided a link to the document and the WipoLex page that I referenced in the description. I know that was a lot to take in, but for those who are bad at understanding things like that like me, in the simplest terms, it describes how Wizard is legally not allowed to steal these models, and can be punished by a legal action if someone were to actually pursue it. But without further ado, I should actually get into the models that were more of a heavy reference rather than an exact copy. Now do keep in mind these models differ from their original sources, because either Wizard has poorly copied them from scratch, or modified the original models enough to where they aren't as completely obvious. Basically, it's the meme where the kid asks to copy someone's homework and it's just a shittier version. So here we have the Black Rhinoceros, which is a heavily referenced version of Zawa Classic's own Black Rhino. The biggest giveaways here are the horn shapes and ear location, as well as the leg shapes and positions, which are the same, except slightly pushed inwards. The body is also extremely similar, where Wizard has created a hump of sorts going from the neck to the back, but the original's neck is set downwards. Next is the Bison, which is basically a fatter ripoff of the Zawa Bison. The most notable similarities between the two are the head shape, 3 back pieces, body shape, and legs. It's a bit too fucked with to tell if it's a true copy, however they're absolutely close enough to where it's not a coincidence. Even the eye textures are similar. Next is the Macaw, which is heavily referenced from the Zawa rebuilt Macaws. The original modeler himself even assured me that they look too close for comfort, so that's how you know you've fucked up. The main differences here are the beak, wings, and tail, but the things that give it away are the head shape, body shape, and especially the feet and eye textures. It's much too close to be a coincidence at this point. And finally, the last heavily referenced model is the Otter, which is referenced from the Little Critters mod's Small Clawed Otter. However, this could be a straight rip or just edited a bunch, I'm not completely sure. It's absolutely referenced though. The general body shape, tail, and headpiece is what gives it away, even down to the way the snout is made where a diagonal upper snout piece rests over the bottom snout in order to resemble a protruding nose. The body consists of 3 main pieces in the same layout as the Little Critters Otter, similarly for the tail. The legs are different, however pretty similar regardless. And there we go, all of the stolen models I could find from Wizard's animals. Now do keep in mind that there's likely some that I've missed, especially because I've used the 1.12.2 version of the mod, and he's released 1.16 versions, so if there are any that you know that I've mistakenly left out, please do leave a comment. Alright, next we have all the harassment he's put me through. As soon as I released my previous video about him and he discovered it through his mod page, he was on my ass, spreading lies and insults about me. He's left some incredibly sweet and kind, definitely horribly misogynistic comments such as, "You need a dick, girl, your problem is lack of man, go get a boyfriend, there are plenty of fat ugly snowflakes around looking for a freak like you," and "I see you got the 26 sub you have to comment here, you really are a pathetic kid, go ahead and make propaganda of my mod, thank you." My favourite part about the second comment is that he actually went back and edited it for when I got more subs, which I found absolutely hilarious. Like, when my sub count went up, he was probably like, "Oh shit." He also continued to privately message really stupid things on my CurseForge DMs, and spam my mod page with stupid and unnecessary comments. He even said he was going to reference my rat model, referring to my greater Bilby, so understandably I got defensive and announced to my own mod's Discord server to look out for if any of my models are stolen and inserted into his mod. He even said, "You say I steal, you're already ignorant. I just used that kangaroo as reference. I don't care if they're similar. If you were a true modder and not the fraud you are, you would know that." Which I find very funny because he uses a drag and drop mod creator called MC Creator, which is known for being really shitty and buggy, and I custom code everything I make, but I digress. He is known for being really protective of his mod and the fact he uses MC Creator, and tries to get people who are actually good at making mods and coding to help him, always with poor results. Wizard has a thing for saying it's basically impossible to steal models, which I find absolutely laughable. So, you know what? I'm gonna prove him wrong. Right here, right now. Before I get called out or something, I'm gonna do this with my own mod, Paw Prints, so nobody gets any ideas. Do not steal models from other mods. I am not telling you to go out and do this. This should be obvious by now, but I do need to have a disclaimer here before someone says I inspired some idiot. Hey guys, so it's actually pretty late right now, and my family has gone to sleep, so I have to be semi-quiet for this. I'm currently in the middle of editing the video, so I'll just show you how easy it actually is to steal a model, and how Wizard is completely incorrect. So all you have to do is you download this mod called Tabula. Basically it's a model loader and creator that is a mod, and it's basically a model creator that's completely inside the Minecraft engine, and it lets you create models and export them to use in mods, resource packs, whatever. So basically it's this simple. So I'm gonna go here and let's find our thing. Here it is. So this is my Bilby for my mod Paw Prints, and I'll show you just how easy it is to steal a model. So you go here, you go entity Bilby, and as you can see it's a bit fucked up. That's only because my Bilby is using a dependency, well the mod uses a dependency called geckolib, and it kind of fucks with the models, so just ignore that. With other models it's completely fine, but if you wanted to steal my Bilby for some reason, you could go here, and all you would have to do is export the project and export it as a Java class. You call it whatever you want. Let's call it poo poo. Great. And there, you've just stolen my Bilby. It's as easy as that, really. Say you wanted to steal, let's see, I don't know, do you want to steal the wolf? Here you go, here's the wolf. I'm using a texture pack, but here's the wolf. Do you want to take this wolf, use it in your mod? Easy as this. Take the Java class, go like that, come here, call it doo-doo. I'm very creative, I know. And there you go, you've just stolen the wolf model. It's really that easy. So, yeah, back to the video I suppose. Bye. Anyways, to get back into the harassment and messages, he sent me some very kind comments, titled under a PM called Mine Putita, which translates to Mine Bitch in English. Very smooth of you, Wizard, using misogynistic language towards someone you know as a girl. Good one. He continues to try and cement his point while being rude and defensive, admitting to referencing Zawa models for his own mod, and calling me low for calling him out on his bullshit. Saying things like, you won't have peace while I live, and I will keep posting pictures of my models every day on your mod page, which, to disprove him, he didn't. I even tried to push him to for shits and giggles, but he just cracked a tantrum and whined at me to stop messaging him. In the other PM he sent me, he said he already replaced all the stolen models, and that it would be funny when I released the video and all the models were replaced, when he's only replaced one of the models, being the kangaroo, and it's still incredibly similar. After his hissy fit on CurseForge, he actually decided it would be a great idea to enter the Paw Prints Discord, Paw Prints being my own mod that I've been developing for almost a year now, and harass me and the other users there. Anyone who knows me knows I hate it when people fuck with my friends, so understandably I got quite upset at this. Here are the logs from my Discord when he joined and started talking shit to the other members. He constantly called me offensive things, like a 12-year-old lesbian, that I needed a dick, called my friends retards, bitches, and pussies in Portuguese, and that they were cattle. He said that everyone there was gay, as if that was a bad thing, and that I apparently told him that it was a gay community. He said his mod only had 500 downloads before I released the video, and over 150,000 afterwards, when his mod has always had a significantly higher amount for a couple years now. How would that even work anyways? The video only had around 300 views at the time he saw it, and still only has about 2.3k. Something about that doesn't add up, Wizard. After he got banned, I followed him up on his PMs and asked him if he was going to spam my mods page every day, only to be met with more misogyny, being told to go play with Barbies and that I needed a boyfriend, because I needed some love, when I already had a partner. Called me a psycho, a prick, the whole 9 yards. This dude has nothing better to do all day other than throw tantrums and fling shit online, being homophobic and misogynistic as soon as you call him out on his lies. Wizard also likes to mislead the folks in his mod's Discord server, feigning being sweet and nice towards his members while being a spiteful and hatred-filled man behind the screen. He has the audacity to say he references the models and say he is improving them. What the fuck, man, that's horribly rude. I'd like to see you try and model an animal from scratch and make it look better than the Zawa animals. Oh wait, you have modeled things from scratch, and they look abysmal! He says people who criticize him need hobbies and don't do anything all day. Well, I'm a university student, I do freelance art, I'm working on my own game, and also my own Minecraft mod. I've learned Java solely for it. And I also do sound files for the Zawa mod themselves. So yeah, really sounds like I do nothing all day, right? Now, in the previous video, he said he was a 40-year-old man that had lawyers and was going to sue me. Well, the link he provided that he was going to sue me with was a link to a Norwegian law website with a section about false accusations. Good thing I'm Australian, he's Brazilian, and that none of these are false accusations, and that I have proof to back up all of my claims. I swear he must have gone on Google, typed something like false accusations law, and sent it thinking he was hot shit and that it was gonna scare me. Newsflash, I actually have a brain, and threats of being sued don't scare me in the slightest. At least try, man. Additionally, on the claims of being a 40-year-old man, I actually went back in his YouTube history in an attempt to see if this had any semblance of being correct. He actually has a video on his channel from 4 years ago with his real voice. Do you think he sounds like a 40-year-old man? Oh, fucking course not! Here's the proof of what his voice sounds like. If he was 40 years old, he must have had the most high-pitched voice on this earth as a kid.
Hey guys, what's up? So, I'm passing by to show this video of my mod. I want to show you guys the features and some stuff. This is my first mod, so bear in mind that just starting to do this stuff. So I'm going to show you guys first the crops and the trees. So first I added 4 new types of trees. The pear, the orange, the banana, and the cherry.
So yeah, if Wizard has tried to harass you or throw a tantrum at you before, please let me know on Discord with screenshotted proof and I'll attach it to a pinned comment. More people need to know that this guy isn't who he seems and that he's just some whiny, desperate kid that thrives on attention. So for those who have watched through this, I'll cut you a break. You're probably slightly bummed that Wizard's Animals has so many species in it that you won't be able to use if you don't download it, and that's really understandable. However, that is wrong. I know how some people who are oblivious to Wizard's faults actually love his mod, and to be fair, yeah, I get that. It's cool having more animal variety in Minecraft. Hell, I'm someone who's actually making their own animal mod. So what are some alternatives to Wizard's Animals that actually contain the species that was shamelessly stolen? So of course I'm going to be recommending the original creators of these models: Zawa Rebuilt, Zawa Classic, Fantastic Fish, Exotic Birds, Twilight Forest, Little Critters, Aquatic Odyssey, and Quark. However, since some of these don't fit in the style of semi-complex / complex models or realism, I thought I would also mention some alternatives alongside them. Zawa Rebuilt contains stunning, high-quality models with beautiful textures, and also introduces its own mechanics for capturing, feeding, and providing enrichment for the massive amount of species it adds. Out of the species Wizard has stolen, Zawa Rebuilt adds giraffes, kangaroos, orcas, hawksbill sea turtles, chimpanzees, Galapagos tortoises, gorillas, pygmy hippopotamuses, lion tamarins, sharks, rats, macaws, iguanas, and bison. The Fantastic Fish mod is sadly very old, being for 1.7.10, but has absolutely stunning models, and out of the stolen animals it adds starfish and lobsters. However, for players who want a mod with these species that is more recent and continues to update, I recommend you try out the Tropicraft mod. For someone who loves birds and wants a huge amount of beautiful bird species, including the hummingbird Wizard stole, I highly recommend the Exotic Birds mod. The Forest Bunny / Dwarf Rabbit originates from the Twilight Forest mod, which is a beautiful, immersed dimension mod with adorable and awesome animals and monsters. However, for someone who wants a more realistic rabbit with more breeds, I recommend the Animania mod. The Little Critters mod, which is a Zawa rebuilt add-on mod, adds the tree squirrels and otters that Wizard stole, and also contains a bunch of other beautiful and adorable species for your world. Aquatic Odyssey / Abyssal Depths is an immensely fun and atmospheric mod that adds the stolen seahorses and swordfish, and contains a myriad of other aquatic species, including an enormous boss monster. Lastly, but certainly not least, Quark is the mod which Wizard ripped off for their crabs, and also contains an extremely vast amount of other game-changing features that highly enhances the Minecraft experience. However, for someone who wants more realistic crabs as well as other animals, I recommend Mo Creatures, and despite it definitely showing its age, it still continues to impress me to this day with how beautiful their crabs are. Please check out these mods and support the creators, because they have worked hard for their success and don't deserve Wizard leeching off of it. Now, before I close out this video, I want to present an open letter to Wizard. Wizard, if you're watching this, and I know for a fact you are, I want you to apologize. Apologize and take down every single stolen model that's available in your mod. It's not difficult, all you have to do is delete the Entity tab in MC Creator. If all you do is whine and complain and threaten and harass more people, I will take that as a sign of defeat. Because, clearly, at this point, all you care about is boosting your ego through a fucking Minecraft mod. Is this how low you've stooped down to? You used to create simple, cute little mods, and now look where you've come. Don't you think this is a bit childish and foolish? I really want to see you come to terms with your faults, Wizard, but at this rate, I feel like you're going to stay a snivelling child forever. And finally, thank you so much to everyone who watched. I promise these kinds of drama-centric videos won't become a staple of my channel. I want to focus more on Let's Plays and my zoo series. But to anyone who got through this whole thing, I appreciate it immensely. Not to be one of those stereotypical YouTuber guys, but if you could help spread the word and leave a like or comment on this in order to try and poke it into the algorithm and get more people to see, that would be amazing. See you soon, guys. Bye bye.